Isaiah 43:19, "See, I am doing a new thing, how it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland." Second passage today is from Matthew 9, starting in the 14th verse. "Then John's disciples came and asked him, 'How is it that we and the Pharisees fast often, but your disciples do not fast?' Jesus answered, 'How can the guests of the bridegroom mourn while he is with them? The time will come when the bridegroom will be taken from them, then they will fast. No one sews a patch of unshrunk cloth on an old garment, for the patch will pull away from the garment, making the tear worse. Neither do people pour new wine into old wineskins. If they do, the skins will burst, the wine will run out, and the wineskins will be ruined. No, they pour new wine into new wineskins, and both are preserved." Through Jesus' experiences, though Jesus' experiences considerable popularity early in his ministry, his message was often perplexing to his listeners, and his behavior was confusing. For example, the disciples of Jesus did not fast, but they ate and drank freely. This confused people who were trying to figure out Jesus, because in that culture, serious religious people usually fasted. But Jesus was bringing a new message, and the new message deserved new practices. To illustrate this truth, Jesus told a couple of parables. "No one tears a piece from a garment and sews it onto an old, and no one puts new wines into old wineskins, otherwise the new wine will burst the skins and it will be spilled. But new wine must be put into fresh wineskins." These parables were based on behaviors that were common in the culture of Jesus. People knew not to put old on new. People knew not to put new wine into an old wineskin because the fermentation of the juice would cause it to expand, splitting the old wineskin, which was not supple like a new. Thus, people knew to put new wine into new, and Jesus' point was fairly clear. He was bringing new wine, a new message, and a new reality. In many ways, the ministry of Jesus was consistent with and a fulfillment of what God had done and revealed in the past, but it was also new, and that God's kingdom was active in Jesus, what he did, said, taught, and eventually would do on the cross. The novelty of Jesus demanded new ways of thinking and acting. So, for example, the disciples of Jesus were celebrating God's kingdom by eating and drinking, rather than emphasizing self-denial by fasting. Today, my friends, brothers and sisters, family in Christ, we seek to follow Jesus and are living in the newness of God's kingdom thanks to the death and resurrection of Jesus and the gift of the Holy Spirit. You and I get to enjoy the new wine of the gospel, but we are so often tempted to be similar to the religious folk of Jesus' day. We find it easy to contain the new wine of Jesus in the wineskins of what is familiar. We are nervous, resistant, when the gospel points us to new ways of doing and being. We all, self-included, are inclined to reuse our old wineskins because they are comfortable and they are reassuring. Yet Jesus teaches us, and we are called to consider how he is doing a new thing and the ways that we are called to embrace new wineskins. Let's pray. Lord God, we thank you for the good news of gospel. We gather today and we thank you for the faithful years here at Holly Lutheran Church. We thank you for your faithfulness through every season. We thank you that you have never failed and you will not start now. Help us today to receive and respond to your new wine. Reveal the wineskins of our ministry, our practices, our programs, and our persuasion that we need to let go of. Help us to be open to your new work and to trust you wholeheartedly as you prepare us for the new thing you are doing. And all God's people say, amen.
Okay, at this time we will appoint a parliamentarian for our meeting today, and I have Owen Ockery here as our parliamentarian. Thank you. And Chuck Carlson will be assisting. At this time we'll also be declaring a quorum. I have a number here of 119 disciple voters here in the building, so that meets our requirement of 60, so we can move on. That's awesome for our meeting today. Thank you. I'm going to move through step 5 on the agenda with the acknowledgement, verbal and or written, of new disciples qualified to vote. Our office and council members do a nice job of keeping our roster clean. And if there's any questions on that, please see me, one of the council members, and we can work through what that looks like. At this time, we'll need approval of the 2023 annual meeting minutes, which is attached on the next page from your agenda. So we'll need a motion to approve. Mary makes an, and if you guys could say your name as you make motions, it's easier for our minutes. And speak loud, please. That's wonderful. We have a motion. Do we have a second? I'll second. Tiffany, say your name, please, and then Tiffany Fossens with a second. All in favor? All opposed? And if you are opposed, maybe raise your hand. We can get a count on that. Motion passes. Okay. We had no special meetings this last year, so that takes care of all the approvals. Then we're going to move to Josh is here for our financial report.
Okay, good morning, everybody. So we'll go through a couple, most of this is printed in your annual meeting packet. Page 9 has some information on the different outreaches or outreach activities that were done this past year. We had the Easter Sunday meal. We raised money with VBS to sponsor, or for a sponsor child. And then some information for the different Christmas giving activities are listed there. Page 13 contains information for both Steamer Hill this past year. We profited about $14,500, so thank you for everybody that came out to help with staffing the booth there or that supported the ministry. We also have the endowment team's current balance, and as of last Friday, I'm happy to report that the endowment balance is up to $26,600, so we finally started making money there. Our initial deposit was about $25,000 2 years ago, and then last year we deposited another $1,000. Pages 22 through 23 show the actual operating expenses for the church this year. We had a very strong giving in December here, so thank you to everybody. And so for the year, we spent about $400,000, and our revenue was $402,900. So we ended up in the black, just over $2,800 for the year. And I'll just let people look over the information. If there's no other questions, we can move to number 8 here. Yep, so there's a question about the youth trips here, and I will. Yep, so for the youth trips, last year we voted to have a $10,000 expense item for, what was it, the New Mexico trip. We did spend the money out of the general account, and then in December, we just, to help with balancing the books, we did move money over from the Steamer Hill account to help cover the expenses. I'll have to look into it a little bit more, but it should be, we should have spent $0 overall there. Okay, so.
Any more questions? There's a lot of information in there. So we've been trying to publish draft budgets early, starting in October, November, and December as the council moves through what that looks like. So hopefully you guys are reviewing those numbers as you're seeing them and asking questions to council members, Josh, staff members as we go, because it really does take a family, all eyes on deck when we're looking at the financials and preparing for the next year. So if there's no other questions, we will move to, I am next on the agenda, and I did write a report, so I'm going to refer to that just for my thoughts on this last year in 2024. But in the meantime, I'd like to thank our council members that are going off the council formally, and that is Jane here, raise your hand, Jerry, and Cindy, who's not able to be here tonight. But, you know, it's a 3-year commitment for these folks standing up here or sitting up here, and we're just so appreciative of what they offer, their gifts, their prayers, and just serving in this capacity. It's not always easy, and it gives you a different perspective of kind of what's going on behind the scenes. So thank you so much. And I know they've both served before that are here, and we're just so appreciative. So also thank you to the staff and to the rest of the congregation, and thank you for your grace today as we move through a council meeting. It's definitely my least favorite part of being president of the council is running the meeting. So smiles and nods and feedback, positive and or negative, is appreciated as we move forward here. So I'm going to keep it short because we actually do have quite a couple things on our agenda that might take some more discussion, and it's super important as we move forward. So I'm going to then turn it to Pastor Darwin, I think. Well, is that right? Yeah? He's on you have some words to share, I think, just as and again, a special thank you to Pastor Darwin for being, oh, no problem. You got it. So, as you know, Pastor Darwin retired officially in December for how many times have you retired? I tried to get rid of us. 4 times. So I called him the other day and I said, I'm so sorry, but I just need to talk to you once more. And I know you're supposed to be off, you know, enjoying yourself, but we just so appreciated everything that you have done for us and given. So we're just going to have another special words. And we promise we won't ask you anymore, but this is our last time we're going to ask for your help.
One of those retirements was from full-time ministry over 40 years, and I thought I'd retire then, but I had the privilege to come back and be a part of Holly Lutheran Church ministry, part-time, interim, and those kinds of things, and God has blessed that wonderfully. I do want to share a thank you note from Judy and me for the retirement event, party, celebration, whatever you did, call it, on Sunday, December 17th. It was a wonderful time to be with all of you that were able to be there, and for those of you that sent cards and so forth. It was actually a delight. It was an enjoyment. First of all, you gave us a beautiful Christmas centerpiece that we thoroughly enjoyed, and you gave us loving, kind words. You gave us hugs, laughter, cards, gifts, coffee, and cupcakes. And 12 years had flown by since we were here. And it was a blessing in every way. That was a highlight to kind of bring everything to full circle and have retirement. A lot of you have asked me, are you settling in? Is retirement happening? And so forth, and I said, well, it's a new normal. You have to adjust to things. Judy has ushered me out of the kitchen a few times. But I wake up each morning, and when I open my eyes, if I don't see candles or smell flowers, I get up. But these have been wonderful years. This has been, we wondered, why would God lead us further north after retirement? But he did. We got here near our son and his family, and we've enjoyed these years wonderfully well, and we can look back and see why God brought us to this area. And of course, we've got more years to look forward to serving with you as lay people, and we look forward to doing that and serving Christ and loving the Lord and growing in him together. Having said all that, Befrienders, just want to say a couple of words. Befrienders is going along very well. I commend their work. It's been a marvelous experience for me to work with them as a facilitator. I look back, and this year, in 23, Befrienders has been operating for 23 years. That's amazing. And they are doing amazing things. When you read the report, you'll discover that with the Befrienders and myself, we made some 250 visits to those people that we consider priority, pastoral care priority people who are in nursing homes, who are in care facilities, who are homebound, and there's just to make that connection with the church, that they aren't forgotten. They're still thought about. We pray about them, and we visit them and share those things. I've often thought about the church as an orchestra and a symphony. Everyone is connected to the director. That's our Lord Jesus Christ. And we are connected to each other through him. When you stop and think about it, each of us in this orchestra is playing an instrument. They're all different instruments, and yet they have to be in tune with each other, so that under the director and under the under-shepherd, who would be Pastor Andrea, that we are playing the gospel orchestral music of Jesus' love for this world. And we've done that for 125 years. What a glorious thing we've been able to celebrate. And so we always need people that would stand up and say, we'd like to be a part of Befrienders. Ask the Lord the next time you have devotions, Lord, should I be a part of Befrienders? And we'd love to have you, because that's always in flux. Some people coming, some people going, and we have people that take on that responsibility and love to do it. And that is a blessing. So I'm going to end up with a little resume from The Lord of the Rings. Most of you know that story. The Hobbit. Gandalf is talking to Bilbo. And this is at the end of their adventures. And Gandalf says to Bilbo, "You are a very fine person, Mr. Baggins, and I am very fond of you. But you are only quite a little fellow in a wide world after all." "Thank goodness," said Bilbo, laughing and handing him the tobacco jar. Or a cup of coffee would be better. So from Judy and me, thank you very much. We're all in this together. Each of our little instruments is playing the song of Jesus' love. And we look forward to continuing to do it with you for as many years as God gives us together. Thank you very much. Thank you. This is mine and this is yours, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Pastor Darwin. And we'll touch base next week about all the tasks that we have working through. No, kidding. Pastor Andrea, we're going to move to you for your pastor report.
My formal report is in the annual report, so you can feel free to read that there. I wanted to just take a moment today to give you thanks, give thanks and praise for some highs, lows, and yay gods from 2024. First of all, I want to start by saying that in the devotional I shared with you today, I am very much an old wineskins kind of person, and there is a lot in 16 years of ministry that in 2024 I have been challenged to shake off old wineskins and try new things. For the first time in my entire years of ministry, I'm using a different curriculum for confirmation because our ministry is focused on orange. That has been new wine, new wineskins, and challenging and a change, and I'm loving it. Through all of my years in ministry, the best practice is you don't blend worship services. It's like, read it all, do the data and statistics. But what we've found here at Holly Lutheran Church, that it's working for our church. When we have things like Ash Wednesday and Maundy Thursday, where we have our Wednesday and Sunday services coming together under the leadership of Maria and Elaine and Dave and Gail, we have a mighty worship service. And so that's an old wine, new wineskins mentality. I'm using a new mission organization for the first time in 12 years because that's where our kids want to go, and that's what our young people are signed up to do. We have 35 people going to not New Mexico, that was last year, to Alaska this summer, and we're looking forward to a big crowd going on our junior high trip. Old wine, new wine. I'm challenged as well. A few of the highs for this year, I have to take a moment to say thank you to our amazing staff at Holly Lutheran Church. Tiff, Carly, Megan, Josh, Lori, Maria, Elaine, Dave, Gail Robertson, and Darwin. We have the most phenomenal team here, and can we just take a moment to put our hands together? It is an honor and a privilege and a joy. We've taken some staff photos at random things. They're going up in the office. We're so thankful that we get to have fun and challenge one another. And I just want to personally thank them for their abundant patience with me, because I go a million miles a minute and I lose track of my own head, and they somehow manage to figure it out. I also, several of you have heard me say this, that my goal in December of 2022 was that our staff picture in December of 2023 would be the same staff, and that is a huge high. Stability matters so much in ministry, and so yay God for that. Special thanks to Pastor Darwin, you just shared, and I think that we should prank you and bring you flowers and candles. Just for fun. Wonder what would happen. I won't do that. But I need to just say a personal thank you to Pastor Darwin for coming back on staff and helping us in this season of transition. Last year I said you were going to stay indefinitely. You called me out on that shortly after. But as we look ahead to who God may be leading to us to help fill those shoes. Those are massive, massive shoes to fill. It has been such a joy and an honor and a privilege to learn from you, Pastor Darwin, to learn from your example, and to be reminded of what it means to keep our eyes on Jesus. And so I just want to thank you very personally and from my heart for that. Do you have to leave? No. So a few of the lows this last year, because we got to be honest. Last winter, this time of year was terrible. I mean, it sucked. We missed like 6 Wednesdays because of weather. We had a really challenging January, February, March. January was good. February and March was a lot of weather-related stuff. It was really difficult, frustrating. We continued to struggle with technology throughout last spring and last summer. It was defeating and discouraging last January when it didn't seem we had many people interested in missions. Katie and I had more than a few get off the ledge conversations, right, Katie? Who was on the ledge? Me mostly, yeah. So ministry is not without some of those challenges. But when I look back at 2023, I can say without question that God has been so faithful to Holly Lutheran Church in the way that we are continuing to seek God and seek the Lord and fine-tune our focus on the gospel of Jesus Christ. I had a Zoom call with somebody the other day, and I mean it when I say it. I am more excited about what God is doing at Holly Lutheran Church than I have ever been about any staff at any church I've been on. I mean it. It is Holy Spirit activate juice, and it is palpable every service, every event. So thank you for leaning into the Spirit. Some of the yay gods, I think, is that we are growing together. I think what Darwin just said captured it really well. We are fine-tuning our individual instruments, and we are looking nonstop at the director, and that is Jesus. Yay God last year was the Orange Conference that 5 of us went on. You guys here last year voted to support that. It was an amazing experience for those who went. We thank you for your financial support of that. We have 6 going here again in April as we continue to think about how we share and do ministry for young people, teens, family. I already shared a little bit about the blend-in services have been fun. They're challenging and stretching, but they bring our congregation together, which is really important. Missions, yay God. Woo, that's all I got to say about that. I can't wait. It's going to be really hard. I haven't done a mission of this scale since 2019, but we have great leaders going. And kids too, I suppose they'll be all right. And my other big yay God is how nimble this group is. We have a phenomenal council, and those of you who've been on council before know how difficult it is, how many complex conversation, difficult conversations, how much time and energy and effort is spent. But I can tell you for sure that everybody sitting in front of you today, as well as the people on all of our ministry teams, are leading this congregation with their eyes on Jesus. Absolutely. It is so exciting as we are nimble and we have good dialogue and hard conversations and fresh conversations and lots of what if we conversations as we explore and express and experiment what it means to do ministry for a new place and time in our culture and our world. And so you can read my report, and in case you're looking at it going, that's bad grammar, it's a lyric from a song. For all we've seen, we ain't seen nothing yet. And I really believe that. As we look ahead till 2024, we've got this vote we're talking about in just a moment. For all we see, we haven't seen anything yet. We are staring down the potential of an associate pastor, which is going to bring a lot of questions and a lot of challenge and trust in every way, but we are excited about how that will work here. And so thank you for your support of Jeff and I and our family. We love being here. We love to serve with you, alongside of you. We thank you for your patience, your grace, and most of all, your laughter and your prayers. I think that's all I have to say about that.
Thank you. So we will now move to our special reports. Each year we talk about the endowment team, and we have a few nominations for that. And Robbie Olson is chair of that. Would you like to have a report update of any kind?
There hasn't been much action this year. Like Josh, the amount of money we got in the account, but nothing really has changed. I want to thank Patty Blakely for serving 2 terms on our committee. And I would like to nominate Mark Renatani and Michelle Hagerty for her 2nd term for the endowment committee.
Do we have a second? Elaine Cluck is a second. Say your name too, Elaine. I can open up for discussion, or we can do a unanimous vote. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, endowment team. We will now move to a call team update from Jana Fisher. Jana also serves on our personnel team and has previously been council president, so we share in a lot of our experience.
Good morning. Our call team has been meeting since September, as you can see in our report. Just want to give a little heads up update. Since my report, we were kind of stalemated with applicants. We've had a couple more, but on Tuesday, our call team is meeting to have a Zoom call with a potential. So we're real excited about what God is doing and bringing to us. So please continue to pray for our call team and what God is doing in Holly Lutheran. It's really exciting to be a part of this, coming from the past and knowing what we've gone through and seeing how we can change and do differently in the future. Thanks, everybody.
Any questions for Jana and or the call team? As always, if you have any questions, feel free. I will make a note here on behalf of the council. We have put a placeholder dollar amount for future staffing for a potential call on the 2024 budget. So right now we're saving money right here in January. So that dollar amount has not been negotiated, approved formally. It's simply a budget placeholder at this time. So I will now move to, unless there's any further questions on that, I'll move to John with a Now is the Time update. We do have a new business. There will be a motion under the new business. So during this time, you can just simply give a quick update, and then on the new business, we'll make the formal motion.
Hey, good morning, everybody. We had an open forum a couple weeks ago with a really good discussion about the recommendation that was made to move forward with the capital campaign by the Now team and approved in December by the church council. We also sent out a mailing and an emailing this last week with that information kind of recapped and restated. So if there are any questions, we can certainly discuss those or let me know. Otherwise, we'll be asking for your support in moving forward with up to a $2 million note to get the project underway. So, any questions? Seeing none, thank you.
When the formal motion is made, we'll open it up for discussion at that time as well. So we will have more time for questions, as I know there should be. So we have no old business today to attend to, so we'll move on to the new business. Oh, John, here we are. Would you like to make a formal motion? Once the motion is made, we'll ask for a second, and then we'll open up for discussion at that time. So we do have members of the council, the property team, the Now team, all available to answer questions. So do you need,
And if you have a question, if you could wait for us to bring a microphone so
Yeah.
that people can hear it.
Well, thanks for joining us again, John.
So I will make a motion as stated to spending up to $2 million to do the deferred maintenance and the replacement of the Hauge wing, as stated in the mailing that went out. So looking for a second.
Do we have a second? Tim Peterson, seconds. All in favor of discussing? All opposed? Okay, at this time, we'll open up for discussion. Am I doing this right, boys? I didn't need to do that. Felt right. And I have the microphone. So, I'm going to open up for discussion at this point. So we'll start with any questions that we have. And please, please, please ask questions.
You know,
And if you want to share more, John, you sure can.
Yeah, just one thing about timeline. So with the yes vote, the intent is to re-engage both individuals on the Rise Up team revisit some of the conversations on the needs of the community, and also re-engage an architect to prepare construction documents. We'll go back through a little bit of design development. This action will be presented to the congregation in full, and then it will come back to the congregation after the bidding on the construction documents to approve the project and spending the money. So we will start to spend money, but it won't be the whole $2 million. So a little bit on the timeline. Any other questions? I was chatting, so.
Is the cost of this project, the cost associated with this project rolled into our 2024 budget? In other words, the financing and all that stuff, is this going to be treated as a separate entity?
That's a Vision Council question, but I believe it's completely separate. It is not reflected in the proposed 2024 budget. Is that correct? Yeah, so. Yep, that's correct. And, you know, the intention in talking with bankers, and we haven't extended those conversations too far. We need the, you know, support to spend the $2 million, and then we'll get into it. But many conversations were had on the front end, and we were encouraged to not exceed basically 40% pledge to value of the loan. We're shooting more towards that 50-50 mark to be a little bit conservative. And I think the philosophy, I'm not a banker, but with those pledges over the next 4 or 5 years, we'll be able to carry that note and then some. And with additional pledges and additional activity, push beyond that, so.
I do think that's a good question, and on the interest as far as the 2024 budget, Josh, do we have anything, a placeholder for additional expenses that you're aware of? No, so if we wanted to add that, we can make that adjustment today with a motion, I would assume. It's hard to know until you have actuals and you start the project, but I do think that that's a good consideration. That, any other thoughts from the council on that? Eric's got a comment.
John, we have a balance today, right? We'll be able to cash flow this initial, you know, work with the architect and a construction manager and things like that, we'll be able to cash flow a lot of that in the early stages, correct?
That's correct. There's no, I believe the balance is about $190,000 today, and that has risen since the capital team started pushing forward. So some of that is that, you know, $925,000 in pledges that's coming in already. So yeah, that would be utilized first prior to going to any loans or notes. So I think we're good until the next congregational vote to approve the construction document, or approve the bids and start the construction. So Rhonda.
John, I couldn't be at the meeting that you guys had the other day.
Yeah, no, fire away.
So tearing down the Hauge wing and then building like a shell, like what, can you explain that a little bit more, like what that would be used for and what that like quote unquote shell would look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have, to get the Hauge wing on the ground and do the deferred maintenance, we have a budget of $1.325 million. And that's conservative. A large chunk of that is to update the HVAC, redo the roofs, and demo the Hauge wing. We will know what those costs are through the design process, and again, we feel that that's conservative. I think about $900,000 is for the HVAC, and we should be plenty covered there. Then the remaining balance, so we'll know, right now it's budgeted at 1.325, hopefully it comes in underneath that. With those remaining dollars, we'll come up with a plan to build the shell. So it's, you know, sewer water roughed in, the windows, the finishings on the outside, and kind of open space on the inside is how I'm envisioning that. However, it is, that's to be determined through the design phase. Yep, and Katie pointed out to me the deferred maintenance is 1.175, but there's 150,000 to tear down, so that's a total of 1.325 cost. So.
There's, I shared with the XYZ on Thursday. This is Pastor Henry in the back. Hi, everybody. Rhonda, more to your kind of, I'm over here. The shell, there still can be a lot of usable So, for example, at Atonement where I was, it was a 3-level building. The main floor was completely finished for the preschool and the childcare when they built it. The upstairs was a shell, and the basement was a shell. And both spaces, the second floor and the basement, were fully usable. Our basement was able to be used for our youth room, and our second floor, we had partitions in there. It's where we did 9th and 10th grade ministry and after-school care. So the hope and the goal would be that that shell would still be able to be used, would be usable, maybe not the way we think about it, but that is, I mean, that addition was built in 1997 and is still being used in that capacity today.
Yep. And I should state, you know, just to give you an idea, a finished space is about $300 a square foot. And so, you know, roughly $700,000, you can see how many square feet that would get us fully finished out. You know, the shell, we're looking to bring those costs down and get the structure in place, push on additional funding, push on additional gifts in kind, and show some energy and get people motivated, so. Yep.
Can we just clarify the square footage that we're removing and what we're anticipating replacing it with, just size-wise, with that budget?
I believe, I don't have the numbers of existing off the top of my head. Eric, maybe you know that. Is it about 1,800 square feet of floor?
Yeah, we're adding or we're tearing down?
Tearing down the Hauge Wing. I believe it's about 1,800 square foot. It's the east-west portion. And then the plan was plus or minus 6,000 square feet as drawn up previously. And again, that'll change, but that's what we had intended. I think our budget is gonna be driving what, you know, okay, if we've got $150 a square foot to get it to the spot we want and we have $700,000, you know, that's gonna dictate our finished square footage or shell. Any other questions? Yeah, this budget is being largely driven by responsible spending. This is, you know, if I had my magic wand and genie wishes, I'd, you know, have a $5 million budget and we'd do it all. But doing what we can with the demands facing us to responsibly spend for the church, I think this is the best path forward. So, thank you.
I didn't say go very far. I just wanted to clarify 2 things. Up here it says a yes vote means we will take out a loan up to $1 million and we'll continue to raise funds for the project. And technically, a yes vote is to take up a $2 million note. It's just that we have almost $1 million in pledges and dollars to go towards that note. So the note would be taken out at $2 million and then we would pay towards that. We do have half of that going already in pledges and dollars coming in, if that makes more sense.
Yes.
Yeah. And then just to clarify what John and Eric were saying as far as rebuilding the Hauge Wing. So our goal really was saying if we have about $1 million in pledges, we don't really want to go over, we don't want to double that in a note we're taking out. So we want to spend up to $2 million, but not over that. Of course, if we were able to accomplish it for under that, we will do that because we have more fundraising to do at this point, right? A lot more fundraising. But we also know that we don't want to lose square footage in that Hauge Wing. So one of the discussion points was, let's just spend what we can. Well, at that point, because of the HVAC and the restrictions with that building, we really need to take it down, and we can't afford to lose that square footage. So then the goal is to rebuild it up to $2 million. We don't think we can fully finish it for the $2 million and do what we need to do with the rest of the building, but we're going to try to get it as functional as possible, and then hopefully with the Holy Spirit, with grace, with prayers, we can continue moving through this process and excitement. We feel strongly, the council feels strongly, the property team and the previous Rise Up teams are confident that as we start moving the machine and doing the needs that have to be done now, that this will continue to ignite a fire with the congregation and the community. So that is why it's a bag, but we know we don't want to go over $2 million at this point, just based off of the $925,000 pledged and raised up to this point. So we have some challenges, and this is the motion that was presented to the council and approved to make a recommendation to you as a congregation. Yes. Yes, we took those dollars, that account, that dollars were coming still for fulfilling the vision, and moved that to now is the time. It is, actually, it's less 10, it's about 198, because we received an insurance claim for the roof after that number was, with that including, that number includes that insurance claim, and the council voted to pay off the note for the Hartford property. And that was done in January, yeah.
You know, I should clarify, this is a key clarification. Total project costs approved of $2 million. That's what we're voting on. It includes the money that, you know, the 200,000 that's in there now. We're not going to go to 2.2 because we have 200 in hand. It's a $2 million project cost, total project cost. The project costs? Everything needed. So the 100% of the deferred maintenance that'll be spent, any of the design and costs going forward. We've spent a little bit of money previously, you know, so it'll be the total project cost of a $2 million budget. Without roof, HVAC replacement, removing the Hauge wing, building the new portion back, without any additional pledges. If additional pledges come in, that'll be revisited. So we have a question in the middle.
Since this isn't in the budget right now, what is the future fundraising strategy and when do you anticipate being able to bring in?
You know, we asked for everybody to fill out a pledge card, and in 2023, I think there were about 165 or 168 giving families, and I believe, you know, one person saw the pledge cards and they tallied it at about 70. So there's, you know, 90-some families that have not spoken either way, whether it's $0 or, you know, $1 million on the project. So I think that's key. Holly Lutheran has increased demands right now. There's new members coming in. You know, I can relate to that. We started living in Holly in 2011, still went to all of it, and then, you know, eventually became members, I think, in 2017. So that transition takes a little bit of time. And I think with excitement and new opportunity, pulling those people in and making them feel more welcome in this church family will lead to additional giving members. The growth that we're seeing, if we don't meet it head on, we're going to lose that growth and lose touching those people in our ministry in the community. So I think that's a big opportunity. So those are the main focus areas. And I think gift in kind is a big area as well. You know, we might be able to push some people to go rough in the wiring and stuff, would pay for the material, but not the time and the labor. So having the shell up gives us the opportunity to do some of those things that might be more difficult to pin down right now on the front end of the project. So those are kind of the main focused areas. So it'll be ongoing continually, I think, making sure that, you know, if you didn't get your pledge card in and want to talk with somebody, talk with the NOW team, and we can look at expanding the focus and finishing that space. So. And, you know, one other question that came up, I think Eric reminded in talking to some folks, some feedback. There's some confusion on, like, what space is going to be finished. There's nothing with the narthex. There's nothing with the fellowship hall. This is 100% focusing on the existing deferred maintenance pieces and the dealing with the Hauge wing. One question up front here. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm Rachel. My understanding at the open forum was in order for us to get to the boiler, that is the deferred maintenance that we need to have replaced of the 1.175 million, it would be a lot of construction in the Hauge wing, which my understanding when you guys had people come in and do assessments, the Hauge wing is like not really able to be fixed at this point. It's pretty much foundation's poor. And that's why for us to even do what we need to do for the deferred maintenance, we'd have to go into the Hauge wing to get to the boiler room, which the Hauge wing is not able to be fixed. And so for me, I read our kids ministry report, we had a growth this year. And I was so excited to see 466 people attend our Christmas program, which is phenomenal. And so I think I wanted to just state that because there's a lot of things that we have deferred maintenance expenses on, which we need replaced. But in order for us to replace it, it's going to impact the housing wing, which can't really be replaced, if that makes sense, or fixed, is my understanding.
Yes.
So without that housing wing, I don't know what we would do for Treasure Kids at Holly Lutheran Church.
Yeah, it's a huge demand, huge need that we're going to rise up and meet. That's what we're trying to do. Eric, I think you...
Yeah, I was just going to supplement John's notes. So there's a breakdown of all the deferred maintenance costs in the supplemental handout. So if there's questions on that, some of our budget numbers are back a little ways, so we have escalators in there to bring them up to today's cost. But that is the specifics of what we're asking for and what we're asking to address. So there's costing in there for the roof, for the mechanical systems, for some softening, for a fire alarm system. So those are actual specific costs and the specific line items that we're going to address as part of this. And then really the larger unknown is just how far we're going to be able to carry that shell project. So we're going to take it as far as our dollars bring us. So if that means we have enough to frame walls but not put in sheetrock and carpet, that's what we're going to do. So yeah, if there's any questions on the specifics, if you refer to the supplemental info, there's a full breakdown of that, and I have it even more detailed if people need to.
Pastor Andrea.
John said that 100% of funds will be used towards the deferred maintenance. I just want to make a caveat to once this vote goes through, there's going to be teams in place to make decisions up to $2 million. So if there's a special need that meets the budget, that we may need to touch something in the narthex or the welcome area or something like that, that will be up to that team, including the property team at that point. But our main focus right now, with 99% of those dollars, is to get us the deferred maintenance that I've been referencing reports back to 2016, and a lot of these issues were brought up and discussed on those meetings and those property meetings. Now is the time we have a significant issue with our HVAC. I'm constantly getting calls from the office saying, I think today's the day. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do about heat today? Because I think today's the day. So, and I know property team gets those same phone calls. We have a hole in our roof in the fellowship hall. I don't know if you've noticed, but we're leaving that open till we have some dollars to fix it. And this is really that vote. Now, if there's a no vote, I just want to reiterate, we will be hosting a congregational meeting to come back to make an adjustment to our recommendation. We do have dollars pledged, and we will need a plan forward to use them. So, yes or no, we still have some decisions to be made. So if it's a no vote today, we'll do the proper process to host another congregational meeting and make some additional decisions. So that's all I have.
I was just going to say what you did. We just want to be cautious about there will not be any, because if design in the process of taking down means that there's some attention given to some spaces simply because of what has to get opened up.
Right.
So just wanted to clarify that it doesn't necessarily mean that there wouldn't be anything done in any other square footage. It just means the priority and the focus is on what absolutely needs to be done, and the team would be good stewards, wise stewards, discerning what is needed. And just a question, so we vote on this today, and if it is a yes vote, anything else that happens requires another vote. So before we have a wrecking ball, there would be another vote. Before there are plans finalized. So just to clarify for the congregation and people gathered, there would be an opportunity where people come to vote on the next phase?
Yeah, I don't know our bylaws, but that's the intention of the group, is that this gives us the authority to budget a project of $2 million total project costs, define what that scope is, define how far we're going to take it, probably have a number of ad alternates in the project to hit that $2 million mark or just short of it, or under, and achieve the deferred maintenance and the pieces that we need to. You know, in those processes, we're going to be reaching out to the treasury ministries and all the different groups on the spatial needs and making sure the programming and the design development is done properly. So a vote would occur after the bids are received from a contractor before we sign a contract to move forward with the construction. Okay. So we've got a motion and a second. Thank you all for the opportunity to work with you on this. You know, I'm excited as well. Pastor Andrea said it really well, and Rachel as well. There's good things happening, so let's keep that moving forward.
Any other final comments before we call to question, and we're going to vote via ballot, yes or no, on this one?
Does anybody need a ballot? Raise your hand if you do not have a ballot.
Boys, how am I doing? You want to restate the motion? Is that, want to go back? John, you want to say it again?
Just a second, we have some ballots that people need.
Or I can say it. It's on the screen. So the yes vote would be I'm in favor of spending up to $2 million on all deferred maintenance needs, roof, mechanical work, foundation, etc., to demolish the Hauge wing and to build back up usable but not likely finished space/shell, but not to exceed $2 million. This may mean we need to phase out the finished work of the Hauge wing and ask for additional donations to limit debt. Okay, at this point, we will call to question. And we have helpers, baskets. All right, as we count, we're going to move on to additional new business, and that is the election of the new Vision Council members. So we have a few nominating team members here, and I know Chelsea has the names as well, so we'll need a motion to kick those out.
Can you hear me? I'm going to be nominating Kathy Jorgensen, Gail Robinson, and Tara Knudsen to join the Vision Council.
Do we have a second? Scott Jorgensen, seconds. Okay, can you read for his wife? Okay, did everybody catch the name? So we have Gail Robertson. Wait, is your hand? We've got Kathy Jorgensen and Tara Knudsen, who was unable to be here today. So we have 3 council members leaving, and we have 3 replacements, so we'll go. Chuck, did you hear that? Ceasing nominations and motion to cast a unanimous ballot. Do we have a second? All in favor? Josh, second. All in favor? All opposed? Wonderful. Scott was so excited. And I said, no, we're doing Kathy. We're doing Kathy. Okay, we're going to do the election of the 2024 nominating committee. And this, according to the bylaws, this team consists of 5 members. 3 of the outgoing council members typically sit on this council. So at this point, it will be Jerry, Jane, and Cindy Beckham. And then we have 2 additional members. And the bylaws state that the Vision Council can choose those 2 additional members. So I believe in our February meeting, we'll be choosing those 2 additional members, whether it be one person serving on the council or an additional disciple. So we'll need a motion for those 3 members that are leaving the council to be on the nominating team. Jana makes a motion for Jerry, Jane, and Cindy. Do we have a second? Christy seconds. All in favor? All opposed? Wonderful. Okay, the 2024 budget approval. I'm going to invite Josh up here. Dun, dun, dun. So we chose this year because we didn't have enough going on to revisit how the budget looks. So this is, and we just apologize, and we've been praying on this. But you can see the actual to budget for 2023 is in our old template, and our 2024 budget will be in a new template. And really the purpose here is to ignite and engage and empower our team members to make budget decisions related to ministry teams that they're currently serving on. So we can't promise 2025 will look exactly the same. But we tried, and thank you, Jeff, also for your skill set in trying to share the numbers in a way that makes sense to you from what we've done in the past. So the council took some significant time in October to review what the numbers were that we normally budget for and put them into possibly a new category for 2024. So you'll see that. You'll also see an increase in budget for the additional call team. The staff member that we'll be hiring, so that is an increase in our budget year over year that we need to pray on and consider. So Josh, anything else you want to add, you can.
Actually, yeah, if you could, that'd be great. Thank you. So back in November, we had sent out a draft budget to the congregation to solicit feedback on it. I'll just go or try to run through some of the changes that were made from November until about 20 minutes ago when Dave pointed out another error. Under the so the budget is on the last 3 pages of your report. Starting under the administrative expenses category, there was a line item for Wednesday supper there, which was removed. That'll be accounted for under discipleship. The subscription and lease line under administrative expenses was revamped to include some new changes with our cybersecurity company that we went with. So that line item is about $4,000 higher than it was in November. We added a line for kitchen supplies under administrative expenses, so that's about $1,000 that we'll budget this year. Moving to the church campus's expenses, the building insurance was reduced by $1,000 based on the actual bill we got in December. For Christian education, we added a $5,000 line item under teens for mission-related expenses. For discipleship, we added $500 for the Holly High School corporate sponsorship, and then a $1,500 line item for events, and that would be things like trunk or treat, Easter, things like that. We did, from the miscellaneous expense line item, we removed the Hartford House line item there since that was paid off on the 6th of January. And then the last few, under staff expenses, the benefits and the staff salaries were updated to show correct tax benefits and things like that. The treasurer line reads about $24.50 in your line or in your printed copy. That should have been $25.40 instead. We also removed the accountant line. We're exploring hiring a payroll company to help with taxes and to help with paying staff. And then the last change was down under worship expenses, we added $1,500 for musicians, and that's for hiring substitutes if Arlene or Maria can't make a service. So those are the changes from November. To give you an idea of what our budget looks like, we're asking for just shy of $503,000 for 2024. As we discussed earlier, if we don't end up hiring the associate pastor this year, the budget is about $426,000 with the associate pastor's salary, some of the administrative expenses removed, and the benefits as well. So if we're looking at comparing 2023 to 2024, we're about the budget would be about $1,000 more than last year if with the associate pastor is not included. So with that, I'll open it up to any questions. Got one in front here.
Just a couple of comments that I want to be people aware of. Over the past several years, our income has always been about $350,000. Well, this year we have not met the budget again, and that's a norm, but I'm concerned about the dollar amount of the increase. The other thing is that when we pass the remodeling, we're going to borrow $2 million. This also gets to be just the interest expense of about $90,000 a year, which gets to be about $6,000 per month to pay the interest. I think it's a good idea, but I think we as church people ought to know the challenge that we have now to pick up this additional expense that's going to happen for several years. Probably the amount of borrowing $2 million won't happen because the pledges will come in. But even if we're at the $1 million rate with the 6% interest, gets to be $60,000 a year. We made a comment on bringing it to the congregation, and I suspect that we would have a real estate mortgage, and anytime you mortgage the church, you will have to have a special congregational meeting. These are only an old man's thoughts.
Don't go anywhere.
Oh no, I'm running now.
No, you can't. I think those are really good comments. Dave?
What's the duration of the note? Sorry if it says that, I just
Which note?
like the $2 million.
We haven't taken it out, so we haven't even discussed it, whether it be a 20-year, 10-year. I don't know, Dave?
I would suspect that that would be maybe a 20 or 30-year amortization. I would guess the maximum would be 10 years on it, that time could refinance it. The term would be so that we could afford it.
The term would be as we can afford it.
That would put the term off there so we could handle it.
Jeff?
Based on the church loans that my bank has done over the last year or two, I don't think we'd be able to go any longer than 20 years. I think that'd probably be the top side.
I'm going to open it up to the council here because this has been a significant prayer point to answer Dave's question on budget increase and what this looks like for our congregation. It's a really tough pill to swallow. It's been you can read my report because I talk specifically to how is this going to work, right? How is this going to work? Pastor Darwin's been so gracious to help serve our ministry, and we did bring him on part-time in a payment capacity to serve pastoral care, but it simply wasn't, we weren't paying him for what he was delivering for our congregation. So we've reached a point, and this is my opinion, the council can comment, but we've reached a point where our needs and expectations maybe aren't matching our budget and or giving strategy. We do our very best to prepare and budget for what we think the experiences that we're looking to deliver in the mission and ministry. We're really trying to increase our giving as a church. Right now we're giving 3% of our contributions. Tithing is considered 10%. Every year we're trying to increase that as a goal. We got challenged as a council a few years ago to say, what are we doing here, guys? You know? Do we do what we say we think we should do? So that's an increase. There's some processes increase. Staffing is important to us. It's our significant budget number. Again, I don't have all the answers, and we're open for all of you to get engaged and look at the numbers hard and say, where can we cut? What can we do? It's a real tough one. Council, any comments?
Just to build on that, we have had a lot of prayerful thought and conversation regarding this and our increasing budget. One thing that has come up though is not only is our budget going up, but our congregation is growing. Our community is growing a lot. So we have to remember there are new people coming in all the time, and the growth that we're seeing is a great thing. We just need to be able to accept all of that.
I think one question was on the.
I just was wondering, we have a lot of younger congregation members. Just wondering about a lot of younger congregation members maybe looking at different outlets of giving, maybe like Venmo and that. Wondering, I know that's some of those things that you guys have probably looked into, but just wondering if that's something that you guys are looking at.
We talk about it monthly. And one thing that we've been considering, I was going to comment also on what's the strategy for raising money for the Now is the Time campaign as we move forward too. And one thing we've been discussing as a council and subcommittees is that younger generations have a tendency to want to give towards specific purposes or specific moments. And it's a generational thing where our older members have it in their heart to give on a monthly basis towards our operating budget. So we were able to raise $10,000 for the Homes for the Holiday Tour for the Now is the Time campaign. We raised, how much was it, $1,700 for the bake sale for missions. There's moments that people are giving towards, and we just need to consider what does that look like as we move forward, and how do those dollars and giving and heart moments hit our operating budget as well. So we've got some significant dialogue. This doesn't stop today. If there's an approval on this budget, we as a family need to figure out how we're gonna get there, and that's gonna take all hands on deck, I think.
Mr. Chair, can we table that discussion? Because you're gonna be approaching the architect, get their fee, you're gonna approach the bank and get their debt service, and then you will be reporting back to us. And then we'll know, basically, I'll have a plan of moving forward. Plus, I'm hungry.
He wants me to call to question. You want to table the approval of the budget, the operating budget? Or you want to take? We're gonna make a motion to cease discussion? Or do you want to table the budget? Are you making a motion to table the budget approval? No.
Calling the question makes a motion to cease the discussion.
Okay, he wants to call to question. Do we have a second? Megan seconds. So all in favor of approving the 2024 budget, please raise your hand as a aye. We'll need a majority vote on this, so I'm gonna go to all in no. Please raise your hand. Great, motion passes. Thank you. Okay. We need a motion to, this year we did not tap into our operating loan, but we generally have on standby a $40,000 operating budget that we'll need to extend with a motion. Christie made a motion to extend the operating loan. Do we have a second? Tim, second. All in favor? All opposed? Okay, I'm gonna release the council to go set up the food, because as Phil said, we are hungry. And then we'll close in prayer today. And I appreciate your patience. Oh, actually, stop. Stop what we're doing. Stop. You may not leave unless you want to know what the actual vote was, if it passed. So back to the now is the time motion. Motion passes with 118 yeses and 9 noes. Okay, you may leave now. And then I will just close in prayer. We close in prayers at our council meetings with the Lord's Prayer, and that's what we're going to do today. So please join me. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. For kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. We need a motion to adjourn. Mary, as always, I think you made the motion last year. Do you have a second? Red is right there. All in favor? All opposed? Thank you.